Alexi, you write that Democrats are taking another Texas Democrat seriously for 2020. Why are people paying so much attention to Beto O'Rourke?
You know, Beto O'Rourke has this star power around him that is sort of similar to what I remember Donald Trump had around him in 2016. Obviously, they're two totally different candidates. But, you know, he is someone who, on the one hand, is most well known for a failed Senate run, but Democrats are taking him seriously because Barack Obama in 2008, Donald Trump in 2016, neither of them had very much political experience. Trump obviously had no political experience before running for office, and they're saying that that shouldn't necessarily write off Beto O'Rourke in 2020. Again, he's got this power to sort of motivate the masses, old and young, to draw these concert-like crowds at his campaign rallies. He gets hundreds of thousands of views on these live streamed videos he puts on Facebook of pretty mundane things like eating lunch at a Whataburger. He can talk about things like racial injustice and police brutality without relying on canned talking points. He was able to attract moderate suburban Republican voters in Texas in a way that I think signals to a lot of national Democrats that he's not only firing up the progressive young base that we all know he would attract naturally because of his age and the platform that he put forward, but he's also attracting some moderate Republican voters who will be a crucial part of the electorate in 2020. And, you know, the Democratic field is wide open right now, and there's not really a clear front runner for Democrats in 2020. So it's really anyone's game, and there's no reason with someone like Beto O'Rourke with all these things that I just mentioned, as well as the massive amount of money he was able to raise online, shouldn't run for president in 2020.
Well, Alexi, what does it tell us about the Democratic Party that there is no clear front runner at this point?
I think it says that, you know, we saw in 2016 the party really wanted Hillary Clinton to be the nominee. She ended up being the nominee, but there was so much momentum behind Bernie Sanders because of this grassroots progressive movement that's been building and building up within the Democratic Party at the ground level in a way that gives people and voters around the country a little more control in sort of deciding who is and should be the party's nominee in the future. And that suggests to me that in 2020, whoever the Democratic so-called establishment might want to be the nominee in 2020, that might not matter because the voters are the one to decide. There was a MoveOn Poll, which is this progressive organization that came out yesterday that showed Beto O'Rourke was the most popular candidate among those who are rumored to run. He was even more popular than Joe Biden, which was a little surprising, but even more surprising was that he emerged as more popular than Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, the two folks who Beto would sort of go toe-to-toe with in terms of trying to get that progressive grassroots energy I was just talking about.
Before we go, Ed, let me get your take on what you're going to be watching for between now and early January.
Let's see if anybody else jumps in. The guidance I've received, I'm sure Alexi hears it too, is that there isn't necessarily anyone else who will do it before then. So, you know, we'll see. There's a lot of sort of private conversations going on with people who are thinking about doing this and potential staffers. That's normal. Everyone is doing it. Any one person who does it should not surprise everyone else because it's being done, and that's part of the normal process. And I think one thing that people should start to keep in mind is the fact that the calendar will be a little different. California and Texas and North Carolina and Ohio will be beginning their early voting around the same time that people are casting ballots or holding caucuses in Iowa and New Hampshire. And that is potentially going to cause a lot of people who want to play in those first two states to also spend some time in those other places. And to see those other states play an earlier role could fundamentally reshape the way that Democrats pick their next candidate. And it's just something to keep in mind as this progresses. And remember, we're still more than a year away from the Iowa caucus, the New Hampshire primary, and everything else.
I feel like 2016 just ended, Ed. I don't know what's going on. All right, Alexi McCammond and Ed O'Keefe already talking about 2020. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.